where Ron Rivera came out and was like, listen, I talked to the team. Because the other day they asked him, why are they the only team in the NFC struggling? Because everybody else is doing well, including the Giants and the Cowboys. Knew the Eagles are going to be pretty good. But the Commanders are 1-4, and he goes, yeah, it's quarterback. Which is, I think Carson's actually been playing okay. I don't, that's not the main, defensively, you guys are not very good. And like Blaine talked about yesterday, you're a defensive guy. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that was deflecting blame, but then he was like, look, I talked to the team. And what I meant when I said that was quarterbacks in the NFC East, they've had their quarterbacks longer. So I'm like,
Cooper? That's not what you said.
I'm like, wait, like Cooper Rush is playing in like the 5th game of his life for the Cowboys. I don't care. He hadn't played in games. Like he started one, I think, last year, won one last year. You look at Jalen Hurts. He has been at the Eagles for a little bit, but Jalen Hurts hadn't been in the league nearly as long as Carson Wentz has. Like Carson Wentz has been in the league a while. You know what you said. Just own it. Just own it. So, my thing is, you tell Jack Del Rio you can't say what you think. We'll fine you or I'll fire you. But I'll say something that I think, and then I'll have to clarify it myself when I know what I said was taken the right way, but would hurt Carson Wentz's feeling. I mean, do people just pile on Carson Wentz?
Well, play bench cut. Carson Wentz, Daniel Jones, or Dak Prescott.
Oh God, I gotta play Dak. Sorry, still. I gotta bench
Now, this is where it gets
weird. I got to bench Carson. Daniel Jones, I just still don't believe it. Like, I just still don't believe it. You got to prove it to me for longer.
I'd play Dak Prescott, then try to get out of the other situations.
Trade?
Yeah.
Get out of both of them?
Yeah. You trade both of them for one bench?
How about
we're going to run the Wildcat.
We're going to run the Wildcat.
Or Cooper Rush?
No, give me Cooper.
To start?
Yeah, I'm a big name guy.
Give me Carson
after all that, Carson Wentz was almost an MVP candidate and all this stuff.
Look, if it's a regular season game, if it's just a normal game, give me Carson Wentz.
Yeah, Carson Wentz is too nice for me. If you watch, I don't know what it was, Hard Knocks with them last year in the Colts. They did the Hard Knocks during the season. You're too nice. Something's up. What are you hiding? You're hiding something for sure. Has to be.
Yeah.
No way it's not.
What's hidden up there in North Dakota?
Something.
Yeah.
No one knows about it.
New York has some of the best football teams in the country right now. John Brenkus, the creator of sports science, is going to join us to talk about concussions, and Tom Luginbill of ESPN previews Week 7 in college football. I'm Jake Crane. It's Hump Day, people. We're almost there, and welcome to Crane & Company. When you think of football states, you typically think of the Southeast with some Midwest sprinkled in. But in 2022, so far, there is one northern state that is exceeding expectations on the gridiron. That would be New York. While the city has its share of problems right now and is turning more into Gotham City by the day, the Giants, Jets, Bills, and Syracuse are a combined 16-4 to start the year. We knew the Bills were going to be a title contender, but what the other three have accomplished is surprising, to say the least. Dino Babers at Syracuse was on one of the hottest seats in the country coming into the season, but after busting into the top 25 with a 5-0 start, his seat is cooler than John Travolta in Greece. Robert Saleh for the Jets isn't just keeping receipts anymore, he's returning items with a middle finger stamp. And Brian Daboll for the Giants is the most popular big man in New York since Biggie. Now, it's always good for the game of football when different regions of the country are able to contribute quality teams to each league or division. It must be a nice reprieve also for the New Yorkers after watching the Knicks fall shorter than Peter Dinklage and the Nets getting swept like dust in the attic in the playoffs. Well, because the only shots they care about with Kyrie aren't worth 2 or 3 points. New York is obviously one of the major hubs of the country, and football being relevant there and in Los Angeles at the same time is beyond healthy for the sport. Now, it is early, and at least one of these teams, or hell, all of them, might get off track. But for right now, the concrete jungle is more like a grassland when it comes to sports. And this should be fun as hell to watch as we move along. I'm going to bring in my co-hosts, former Michigan quarterback, Heisman candidate, father, brother, and son.
Yes. Check.
Yes.
Nice work.
And then Blaine, my brother, former Western Colorado wide receiver.
Great intro, man.
A man who has a fantastic beard and the mind of a scientist.
And incredibly handsome.
Let's just do this. Keep it going, guys.
Can we keep it going?
No, we're finished.
No, I'm not going to. Look, we again, you focus, when you think of football, you think of the Southeast, like I said, a little bit of Midwest. When you think of basketball, you think where there's more concrete. It's just how it is. But when you look at the state of New York, and Rutgers and Greg Schiano, I know that's New Jersey, a little bit different. I'm not, super duper familiar with how New York's put together, okay? I'm not, I wasn't in the colonial army, so I don't know 100% how it works. But I do know when I look up there and I see relevancy, I mean, how great of a story is it that the Jets are competent, the Giants are competent, and Syracuse is exceeding expectations. We knew the Bills. We knew what the Bills were going to do, but typically, what do you hear in New York basketball? Oh, when will the Knicks be good? The Giants are a joke. The Jets are a joke. Ever since Eli left and Fossil left and Coughlin left, all this stuff, the Giants are a joke. New York right now, there's a little bit of a resurgence in football, and at least to this point, how can you not say New York's a football state now? Sure as hell ain't a basketball state. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want to, keep it a stack.
Looking like a football state.
Looking like a football state.
And for starters, some people, when they think of football, they think of a soccer ball. So don't be exclusionary.
I don't think in terms of what's wrong. We all know what football is. This is America. Okay, you come in here, you put the gas pedal to the floor, and you scream it as loud as you can.
And you get our sports name right.
You get our sports name right. You come in my house, you come in our country, you get our sports names right.
16-4 right now combined. Bills, Giants, Jets, and the Syracuse Orange. Here's my question, though. The Bills, we knew, like you said.
Yeah, the Bills.
The Bills are so much fun to watch right now. And who would have thought two of the best football teams in New York are in Buffalo and in Syracuse.
That's
on
exactly
the college
right.
side.
That's exactly, and I will say that the Bills have inquired about getting Christian McCaffrey. They get Christian McCaffrey.
Wait, where'd you hear that?
And it literally broke yesterday.
You've been having your ear to the ground?
Out. Look, I made a few calls, all right? Maybe the bat signal went in the air and somebody had to answer it. Who's that? Me. Surprise.
Wow.
If they get McCaffrey, like you already weren't really stopping that offense consistently, but now you have no chance. And I know they'll say, oh, McCaffrey gets hurt. Look at the weapons they have. I mean, Gabe Davis.
You don't need him as much there.
You don't need him as much.
The Panthers have to have Christian McCaffrey.
And him out of the backfield in the receiving game with Josh Allen, with the way Josh Allen extends plays, I think it's going to be the best thing to happen to Josh Allen's body since he got engaged.
And maybe they're looking over across the way at what Saquon's doing with the Giants and saying, he came back from an injury.
Yeah, well, it's how you use them. We always talk about, the NFL stands for not for long, but that would be very interesting to see. You're going to see some crazy moves that get talked about as these teams kind of divvy out who has a chance to do what. But, I mean, who do you think, Blaine, is the best team outside of, obviously, the Bills and Syracuse between the Jets and the Giants? If you had to buy stock right now between the Jets and the Giants, which one are you taking and why? You taking Xerxes' son, or are you taking Santa Claus's nephew?
That's a tough decision. If anything, I'm going with the Giants. I'd go with the Giants because I think the offensive line better. I think the defenses show me more. And, I mean, they're somewhat older. The Jets are young. Most of the Jets' talent is young. Zach Wilson, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. Even their defensive players are young. Both their futures are bright. Daniel Jones right now is playing a type of football where he's not making the ultimate mistake and turning the ball over. We kind of go earlier in the year, that goal line on that play action where he threw that pick that really got Coach Dayball
got
upset. Kind of saw a different Daniel Jones from that point, staying within the system. And Saquon Barkley is becoming Saquon Barkley, what he was supposed to be in the NFL, because he's getting healthy and they're putting the ball in his hands. And you see, if you keep putting a ball in a guy's hands like that, sooner or later, he's going to make the play. They're doing a great job of finding him out of the backfield. So right now, if I had to buy a team, Zach Wilson just got back, played good, but want to see more, I'd probably buy the Giants.
Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with him. But let me play the Jets side just for 1 second here. You're talking about Zach Wilson. I think we would agree that Zach Wilson, at least, we think he has a higher ceiling than Daniel.
He rides with the fear.
Okay. Now just look at the divisions for a second, okay? Because the NFC is sort of becoming a problem. The Cowboys are playing well, right? The Eagles are the only undefeated team. Commanders kind of bringing out, the back end of that. But if you look at the AFC East with the Jets right now, the Patriots aren't great and they're playing a third-string quarterback. Yep. The Dolphins are good, but they're playing a third-string quarterback, and then the Bills are sort of leading the way in that division. So I think the Jets have an opportunity, especially here in the middle of this schedule, while two of the four teams in that division are playing third-string quarterbacks to do some damage. And here's the next stretch for the Giants. Ravens, at the Jaguars, and at the Seahawks. And the Seahawks are playing better, too.
Yeah, dude, the Seahawks right now, it's going to be hard for me not to take the over for the Seahawks every Sunday, the way that Geno and that offense is operating. But I do want to say, you talked about the offense for the Giants for a second. That defense is coming up with some really opportune stops as well. They're getting the stops when they have to get them. But I think another point about Daniel Jones, when Daboll went over there, when he threw that pick in the end zone and got after him, it wasn't like Daniel Jones went into a shell and wasn't taking chances. Guys can go a couple different ways off that. It's all right, I'm not going to take any chances. All we're going to do is throw the check down, hand it off. If some guy's wide open, I'll take a chance, maybe throw a back shoulder every now and then. That's not what Daniel Jones is doing. To me, what is helping Daniel Jones the most outside of Saquon Barkley is he's using his legs. Daniel Jones is using his legs more than he has ever used them. And defenders, when you're in kind of limbo or the purgatory of the play, right? When the first read, maybe the second read's gone or the protection broke down and the quarterback's moving, now defenders aren't assuming Daniel Jones is going to try and force the ball into double coverage or make a crazy throw in the scramble drill. You know what he's going to do? He's going to take off and get 5. But he's a sneaky good runner. He's one of those guys that kind of surprise you a little bit once they get going. He's not super fast, but he is a long strider. He's a big guy. He's not overly physical, but he's running smart. So I think there's a couple things going. I would buy the Giants as well. I'm huge on what Brian Daboll is doing. Like if you watch him on the sidelines too, he is composed. He does show some emotion, but the guys really feed off of him. How many problems do you see on the Giants sidelines?
He's a good
Typically,
coach,
you
man.
see guys getting on each other, and we've seen it. I mean, guys fighting, trying to fight each other after plays. It's just, it's interesting.
And if you're the Jets right now, I mean, I know we're taking the Giants, but let's sit here and be happy. You hit on mostly all your draft picks.
You did.
With Zach Wilson,
That's very true.
with Garrett, with your running back, Breece Hall, like you're hitting on all your picks, and the future is extremely bright. But it's going to take some time. So the Giants already have somewhat established guys.
That's a good point. And I don't want to completely forget about Syracuse.
That's what I was just about to say.
They're 5-0, but here's the thing, though, guys. Here's the thing. The next 6-game stretch, NC State, at Clemson. You got Notre Dame at home, at Pitt, Florida State, and then at Wake Forest. Now, they'll finish up with Boston College in that 7th game, but that 6-game slate, Jake, is...
You could just go 3-3.
And that right there?
If you could just go 3-3.
Because that would make you, 8-3?
You're not beating Clemson at Clemson.
Okay.
I think they have a good chance to beat NC State at home this week, and I want to see the Devin Leary situation. But if Syracuse... That could be another kind of big notch win for Syracuse. They've had some good wins. Have they had huge wins? No, they did beat Purdue in the last second. Purdue's shown a resurgence going on the road and beating Minnesota and then going on the road and beating Maryland. But this would be a huge one for Dino.
So you think they could beat NC State at home? You think they could beat Notre Dame at home?
I think they
right
could.
At this point.
Dude, Garrett Schrader's a good player. Mississippi State transfer.
And then Florida State. So you're saying if you could win the home games, and lose to on the road at Clemson, maybe on the road at Wake, or even Pittsburgh right now. I mean, if Georgia Tech can beat Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh was looking past that game, to be honest with you, but Pittsburgh has had some quarterback injury problems. It hadn't been super smooth there. They transitioned from that Mark Whipple offense with Kenny Pickett, going fast and spitting it out and passing to run. Now it's more methodical. We're going to run the ball, play defense, play action, not give you a ton of 10 personnel. So it's been kind of a change in identity, not in culture, but a change in identity in Pittsburgh. But Blaine, speaking about changes in identity, what's going on in the Booster Club?
Booster Club. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Who is better, or who's playing better right now? From Conyer Ron, what's up, my guy? Better QB right now, Russell Wilson or Daniel Jones?
I would say right now, I do think there's a lot of blame to put on Russell in Denver. But the offensive line has struggled, and they're not running the ball great. I mean, he does have Jerry Jeudy, who we know is a weapon. He does have Sutton, who we know is a weapon. But losing Javonte Williams is big, and the offensive line's underperformed. I would take Russell to edge out Daniel Jones just over a full body of work. I need to continue to see it from Daniel. But the way it's trending right now, the answer to this question could be different in 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, Russell Wilson right now, 59% completion percentage. That is just
garbage. It's not good.
Well below his
It's
standard.
not good. And look, he's missed some throws, but they have no balance on offense. And when you have no balance, especially in the NFL, it's unbelievably hard to move the ball.
And right now, trying to pull this up, let's see. Daniel Jones, 66%, I think, 67% completion.
He's been more
something
efficient.
like that. I don't know. I mean, obviously, Russell Wilson's one of the great quarterbacks of this league, but I don't know what's going on right now in Denver.
Yeah, something's wrong. Man, it's not getting better. I mean, to watch a game, they're in the game with the Colts where no one scored a touchdown. I mean, it was all field goals. That hadn't happened since 2016.
Yeah.
So something's wrong. I don't know if it's the play calling. I mean, I know your offensive line isn't great, but they're not terrible. You still have your weapons at receiver. I know Javonte Williams tore his ACL, which is huge, great player. But right now, Daniel Jones is playing better at the quarterback position than Russell Wilson.
Russell missed a few of those Jerry Jeudy routes down the sideline.
sure.
Yeah, he did. You know, it's been a struggle for Hackett there so far in Denver, but we'll see.
All right, let's go to Emmanuel C. $5.55 donation. My boy E-Man, he says, I feel A-Rod and Bryce Harper have similar stories, so could this postseason be Harper's breakthrough, one similar to A-Rod's 09 one with the Yankees?
You know, it's a great segue into the MLB whip around. Let's go ahead and get into it. Look, the Braves yesterday, there's a couple things that you don't want to do in baseball. You don't want to let teams jump on you early. And if you watch that Phillies-Braves game, the Phillies were trying to just hit the first pitch back to Philadelphia. That's what their plan was for Max. We want to hit the first pitch because we know he's going to try and get ahead. I thought he was locating the off-speed pretty well early. But the Phillies, and I say they were swinging to try and hit it back to Philadelphia, but a lot of the hits that they got in that first inning when they scored were singles, but they were getting 2-out hits. They were getting clutch hits. They were extending counts. They were fouling off good pitches. But for the Braves, you can't let them jump you early, and then you can't go 1 for 8 or whatever it ended up being with runners in scoring position. You don't want to do either one of those, but you damn sure can't do both of them and expect to win in the playoffs. Philadelphia, I think, and look, Max Fried, we know, is a really good pitcher. I'm starting to question if Max Fried needs to be the first guy that comes out there. Like you've seen Max Fried, we've seen this in big games, him come out and lay eggs. I know Strider's hurt, but I think and Soroka's coming back. I think this may be the last playoffs where we see Max Fried lead the Braves out there because he has a bad habit of underperforming in really, really big moments. He's had some good moments in big games, but I feel like he's more of a second day, third day guy. I don't think he needs to be the horse coming out in the first round of the playoffs. And like I said, I know there's injuries, or the first game of the playoffs, excuse me. I know there's injuries and stuff like that. But then again, you know, you have a chance to clap right back in the bottom of the first. Acuna leads off with a double. Then Dansby strikes out. Austin Riley isn't able to get him over. Austin Riley struck out 3 times. So you got to pick one. Either the pitcher's going to struggle and you're going to hit well with runners in scoring position, or vice versa, or you're not going to do both. The Braves didn't play good baseball. They were fighting and chasing after the lead the whole game. Matt Olson hit that big 3-run home run late. But you got to take your hat off to Suarez for pitching himself out of trouble a couple times, and they were the better team yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, look, Max got 2 outs in the first 3 pitches.
Yeah. You got to get out of the inning,
pitches,
man.
And then you give up 2 runs on that, and they were making consistent contact for 4 straight innings. So this is why this loss is especially bad for the Braves. In a best-of-5 series, you don't ever want to lose the first game. I understand that, but the Braves have a history with losing the first game in these divisional rounds to go on and lose the series. And when you were throwing your ace and the other team wasn't, and now you're going to throw Kyle Wright against Zach Wheeler, who is from less than a mile from Truist Park, who has owned the Braves. Now you're looking at a situation where if you don't win this one, you're going to go to Philadelphia and you're going to throw Charlie Morton against Aaron Nola, right? I mean, and then it starts. You bring into, okay, is Spencer Strider really healthy? Is he back? Could Max Fried throw a couple innings in that game if he needed to? If it came down to a game 4, I don't know. I mean, maybe even I had a buddy yesterday who was saying maybe we should move Austin Riley down in the lineup now and at least get Matt Olson some more at bats with the lefty. Get the lefty in the lineup a little earlier tonight in this game. So I don't know. There's a bunch of different things. I wouldn't panic if I'm the Braves, but that was a tough loss when you're throwing your ace.
Yeah, no, I agree. The thing about me is this: so we didn't doubt this Phillies team. I know they're 11 games back, but they got great players.
They can hit.
They can they will lean on their hitting. They got the guys to lean on their hitting to get through games, and their hitting really wasn't good in the series before this to get to where they were. Their pitching saved them.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not worried about the Braves. It's a long series. I mean, I know you lost this one. It's a tough loss, but y'all got the guys. All right, you got the guys. You got one of the best rosters in the MLB. Sooner or later, it's going to come on. The bats will come on even more. And I still like the Braves in the series.
Yeah, and look, it is a 5-game series, but you lose that first one. It starts getting late really early. You know, when you look at this Braves team, there's a couple questions I have. I'm having a hard time, and I know you try and structure the lineup to have ability all through it. And now with the DH in the National League as well, it's changed a lot of things. I'm trying to find in my mind a place or a thought of why Michael Harris is hitting behind Orlando Arcia. I don't get it. He's probably going to win Rookie of the Year. It's between him and Spencer Strider. Orlando Arcia is a very average Major League Baseball player. He needs to be in the bottom of the lineup. Move Michael Harris up. Move him up. I know you had Suarez, a lefty, throwing yesterday, but Michael Harris hits righties and lefties really well. Michael Harris really about ripped a double off Suarez the first time he saw him, the second time when they brought in the left-handed guy throwing the slider. He kind of rolled over the first one a little bit, but Michael Harris has shown you enough to where I think he should be higher in the line.
Well, where he's hitting is one of the reasons that the Braves have the best 7, 8, 9 hitting in the lineup in Major League Baseball, which is great. That's one of the things that's going to keep them, I think, in this series, and the bullpen.
Well, why not hit him 9 then? Okay. Why not put him 9th? And he was like 6th or 7th, where you can get kind of buried a little bit, because that way you have Michael Harris and then Ronald Acuna and then Dansby Swanson. He's almost like an extra leadoff hitter. If you're going to say, all right, we're going to put you down on the lineup which lessens your at-bats, you might as well put him to 9. And Wilson Contreras has to make clutch hits. I know he's done that before. You can't come up and hit into a double play in the bottom of the first with the bases loaded and 1 out. You can't keep missing fastballs and fastball counts. I mean, he got 2 put on a tee yesterday that he fouled off.
I can't remember where Michael Harris was hitting in the lineup yesterday, but the Braves do have a great 7, 8, 9 in their lineup, and their bullpen is better, which I think is going to keep them in a lot of games, and you saw it last night.
Yeah, that's what makes Max Fried. That's what makes Max Fried giving up those runs early so detrimental, because you can't really use your bullpen to shut him down. It's really what the Phillies outside of the 9th inning did. They pulled a Braves on the Braves. They won the way the Braves do. But let's move on. Yesterday as well, the Yankees were able to beat Cleveland. I will not call them, their mascot, but I do want to say there's a couple cool things here. Number one, Garrett Cole came out and shoved. You go 6 1/3, 8 Ks, 1 earned run. You pitched out of trouble when you had to. But a cool story here: Anthony Rizzo hits the home run. We all know his story. But Harrison Bader hits his first home run since being traded to the Yankees. He went to Horace Mann High School, 5 miles away from Yankee Stadium. Said he used to dream about it all the time, and as a 15-year-old, as a fan in the seats, he was there on the first base line when the Yankees won their last.
That thing was a rope, too.
So that's cool. Yeah, he got every bit of it. I thought that was a really cool story. The Yankees guys continuing to play well, continuing to play good baseball, and I think they've won 6 straight playoff games going back to last year, I believe. Some are their last 6 divisional series games, I believe. But you did it with Harrison Bader hitting a home run. You didn't have Aaron Judge go out there and hit 3 home runs. It wasn't like you were knocking the cover off the ball. You won the game with good pitching and defense, which at the end of the day in the playoffs, it's not about home runs. It's not about doubles. It's about pitching, defense, and timely hitting. That's what it's about. Blaine, go ahead.
GC was wheeling and dealing, baby.
He was. He showed up.
Gotta know what's more disgusting, his knuckle curve or the new Jeffrey Dahmer series on Netflix.
I don't know. Those are both.
That knuckle curve was falling off the table. Really didn't like our approaches early at the plate. A lot of get-me-over fastballs on the first pitch for the Commanders or the Guardians of the Commanders, whichever one they are. But I do like the way we adjusted later in that game. Anthony Rizzo, baby.
Yeah.
Don't throw the high cheddar 3 and 2 and balls get natty. All right, so you love to see it. You love to see it. But hey, keep it locked in. Hey, great story. I know you're from the stadium. That way to hit a tank. Can we do it again? You want some free suits? You want some sponsorships? I need 3 this series.
Yeah, and let's be honest. Cleveland right now is playing with house money. You're playing with house money. You've got the youngest team in Major League Baseball pretty much. You've done a really good job with payroll and budgeting and stuff like that. You're playing with free money. Nobody expects you to be here. Nobody expects you to win the AL Central. Nobody expects you to get past the wild card round. So you know what? That does make you dangerous. But the Yankees, I mean, they're continuing to do the things that they did to get them there, and it looks like that 5-day layoff didn't really affect them too much.
Terry Francona, at it again. This is the guy who managed Michael Jordan in Birmingham, man.
Yeah.
Just this guy doesn't stop.
No, it doesn't stop. Also, yesterday, the Astros, best game of the day. Well, without a doubt.
For sure, yep.
We have the clip here. I mean, they were chasing Seattle the whole game. Logan Gilbert, first playoff start for the Mariners, came out, looked really good, gave up 3 over 6, which at Houston, you're playing in a park where the ball flies and it's a short porch. Houston was able to battle back. It was 7-5 in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs.
And they brought in Robbie Ray.
2 outs. You bring in Robbie Ray, who's been absolutely filthy. I'm talking about like Oliver Twist. Let's go, put this boy in the pond and clean him up filthy. Runners on first and second, 2 outs, 0-1 count. Let's play the clip. God, it's the best part of baseball.
In to try to close it on a Tuesday. Alvarez.
America! Oh, and he got all of it. Bit of it.
Blasted.
Every You want to know what it looks like when you guess right? That's what it looks like. Huge win for the Astros, and that has to be so deflating for the Mariners. Guys, there was 15 runs scored, 24 total hits, and no errors, which you know what that means? Guys were absolutely barreling balls up. It was a very fun game to watch. The Astros, just really exciting baseball team, especially when they don't have computers telling them what pitch is coming. It makes it more interesting. But look, you won a game if you're Houston with Justin Verlander not pitching well at all.
They beat up on Verlander.
That is the best sign if you're an Astros fan that you can possibly have.
Yep, they beat up on Verlander, and when Robbie Ray came in, I thought he's going to close.
Lefty on lefty.
3-run blast, man. If you're, because the Mariners are a younger team. I mean, if you're the Mariners right now, does this lead to them just completely getting swept, or do they bounce back and battle tonight, you think?
We're going to find out a little bit, because look, we can talk about the regular season. We can even talk about you closing the gap and making the playoffs in the regular season. But when you get to the postseason, that's a different animal. I don't know yet. I don't know about you. I saw you in the wild card. All right, you guys handled the Blue Jays, came back, beat the Blue Jays in the second game of that 3-game slate to move on. You've shown it there. So I'm not going to doubt them, but you have to prove it to me. I mean, you got J-Rod. You do have some guys that are beat up, but you have pieces there to be able to win. You have the pitching staff. But we'll see about the Mariners. The jury's out still a little bit, because the jury is still out a little bit because it is a young team, but I think they'll bounce back.
No, I agree. I agree. I know this happens sometimes in baseball. First of all, I am putting that man on base. I am loading the bases. I am putting that man on base. I am not pitching to him. All right, whoever's next up, please, we'll have a little dance for a little bit and see who comes out on top. But that guy's steady drops tanked in pressure situations.
Yeah.
Here, buddy, get on first base. We'll see how it goes. Mariners, you're fine. It might be one of those things where you're so young, you really don't know how important it is or what just happened or how you lost. Just one of those age things. So they'll be fine. They're an extremely good baseball team, guys.
And then the Dodgers, 5-3 over the Padres. Trey Turner hit a bomb, 419 feet.
Yeah, Trey got every bit of that. I mean, Trey's an unbelievably exciting player to watch. That guy gets on the bases. He's one of the fastest guys in Major League Baseball. Watching Trey, especially when he got into the league, I mean, God, he was stealing bases like an armed robber. The Dodgers are just the Dodgers. Look, they're a good baseball team. I think the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. I think they're the best team in baseball. I really do. You look at the roster, and it's not by a mile. It's not by a ton. I know they won 111 games. I don't think that's a deceiving thing when you win that amount of games, the third most that we've seen in a long time. I just feel like that the Dodgers, if they just play clean, and they're so deadly throughout the lineup. You want to talk about 1 through 9 cone. You want to talk about righty and lefty matchups. You want to talk about starting pitching, bullpen, guys that can come in there in weird situations and guys that get clutch hits. I mean, the Dodgers have everything, guys. They have everything. The Padres didn't play bad. Wasn't like the Padres played bad. The Dodgers are a really good baseball team. I think they're going to win this series. You're going to have to get through the Dodgers, obviously, to get to the World Series, just like we saw last year. That's what it's going to come down to. So it was a great first day. I know we only have 2 games today as opposed to the full slate yesterday. That was a lot of fun to watch. I watched baseball literally from noon until the Dodgers game ended.
Really?
Which most people would be like, oh, that sounds horrible. No, I absolutely love it. So it's a good start for baseball. And I like it. I went on a radio show yesterday and some guy was complaining about, well, baseball has the most parity, which, shouldn't the best team always win? I was like, what? I mean, you're playing it on the field. Like, you play the game, and my buddy Marks, he does a great job. We just disagree on this. But, like, you play the game on the field. That's the best way to decide it. The best team wins, win it on the field.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
And in any single series, anything can happen. I mean, the Phillies and Braves play in April. That's going to be a lot different than them playing in October.
For sure.
Anything can happen. These are different teams now.
Yeah, well, every inning's a rally. Every inning's a rally. Every pitch there's so much riding on every pitch.
All right, $9.99 donation from Christopher. What's
Christopher?
Says South GA loves y'all, especially the resident Blue Devil. Keep up your fight for mental health, man. I appreciate it, bro.
Hey.
All right, let's go to,
Sounds like he's from
it was
Statesboro.
Jessica Grant. She just wanted to say, yeah, we can say about the strikeouts, but how are we going to leave that many runners on base?
No, that's what I'm saying. You struck out with runners on base. Like that. Think about how deflating it was. Phillies come out and they jump you for 2 runs, right? 2-0, jumping from the start after Max got 2 quick outs. Acuna, what does he do? Gets up there, slaps a double to left field. Dansby Swanson comes up there, runner on second. You got a chance to take back the momentum. You strike out. All right, Austin Riley gets up in a very similar situation, a chance to get it, not only keep a rally going, but get a huge rally, or not only to start a rally, but to get some momentum back for the Braves. You strike out. The double play was the killer, though, because it's worth 2 outs. Wilson Contreras hitting in the double play in the bottom of the first to get no runs was absolutely huge, was huge for Suarez, a guy that's very unflappable. You saw yesterday. You got to hit with runners in scoring position. Baseball is about timely hitting. How many two-out hits did the Phillies get yesterday with runners on base? A lot of them. A lot of them. They were getting runners over. They were getting runners in. The Braves weren't able to do that. Travis d'Arnaud did about everything he possibly could yesterday for the Braves. Nobody helped him out. Nobody helped him out. And that's just, you can't do that and expect to win.
Tell you, interesting dichotomy there. You saw Phillies right fielder dive for that ball and make that.
No, Nick Castellanos had a huge day yesterday.
Castellanos had that catch. In the first, when I said Fried got 2 outs in the first 3 pitches, and the next one's lined out to right field, Acuna doesn't dive for that ball. That just shows you being banged up in the first inning with a knee. Like, you're not going to get Acuna diving for that ball a lot of times. That was a catchable ball to me. That was a catchable ball. If Fried gets out of that first, unscathed.
What's the thing is, if you're going to do it and you're going to take a shot, 2 outs, nobody on's the time to do it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the time to do it. But Castellanos, not only from that play, but at the dish, absolutely slaughtered the Braves yesterday. Slaughtered. Got a big hit every time I got up. I think there was 2 outs. Runners on second, third. He got up one time and ripped a single into left field to make it 7-1. I mean, look, you're either clutch hitting or you're not, but it is one game. There's no time. Baseball is as crazy as it gets. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, Texas Ed says MLB wants to attract younger fans, and also the MLB. Let's play the postseason games at 1 p.m. on a school day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go back and forth on that one all the time. I know they were trying to stretch out the games where, you were able to kind of try and catch the end of one as the other started. Didn't really work with the Astros and Braves, with one opening pitch starting at 12:10 and the other one starting at 2:30. I mean, you're going to run into each other eventually, especially in a playoff game where there's a ton of commercials. If I see Flo from Progressive one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose my mind. Like, I'm starting to think I'm in a horror movie. Not that they're bad I don't think they're bad commercials, but it's every other one. Y'all must be doing great. Y'all must really be doing great.
Isn't she dating John Hamm now?
Something like that. Who knows?
Yeah, she's in love with insurance, guys. J-Mac Volunteer says the Braves had the bases loaded twice and couldn't get a single run home. They blew it and are better than that.
Yeah, you deserve. Look, you deserve to lose. You do that, you deserve to lose.
Now, how are you going to respond?
That's exactly.
How are you going to respond?
That's exactly.
That's what we want to see.
All right, let's go to Ratchet Dewan.
Dewan, what's up, dog?
Ratchet? He says Phillies swinging early was a good sign. Max Fried just didn't adjust.
Yeah, well, what they were trying to do, because if you get deep in the count with Max Fried and he starts working that breaking ball and that off-speed, especially that changeup, when he's locating that changeup, and that's why I even tweeted yesterday in the first inning, he was locating that changeup really well earlier. Typically, that's typically a great sign for Max, any pitcher, but especially for Max. They were trying to jump the fastball. That's what they were doing. They were saying, all right, I'm getting one of two things this first pitch. Either you're going to try and get the fastball over for a strike to get me behind in the count, or you're going to try and throw the hook for a strike and get ahead in the count a little, get me over breaking ball. And they were sitting on it. They were go back and watch it if you get a chance. Watch the top of the first. Look at how many first pitches the Phillies swung at. Look at how many, and it wasn't just, I'm going to try. It was, I am going to let it ride. I think John Smoltz even mentioned it. They were trying to jump him. That's a real thing. You're trying to jump them a little bit because if you get behind really any pitcher in Major League Baseball, but Max Fried, who's throwing pitches that, scientists are still trying to figure out how they break that way. I mean, the Wright brothers couldn't figure out how that flight path, then you're in trouble. But they were trying to jump him early.
All right, J-Mac Volunteer says, as a former baseball player, you don't throw an 0-1 fastball down the middle. You never want to throw a fastball down the middle. You're getting deuces in an off-speed until 0-2. Then you're getting a high and tight fastball, a little high cheese. Y'all like the way Max Fried was mixing the pitches yesterday?
Yeah, I don't think it was as much about mixing the type of pitches. I think it was a lot about location. Max wasn't challenging them inside. Everything was middle away. Everything was middle. The only time he was getting anything inside is when he would miss down with the hook to righties because he was left-handed. He wasn't able to command both sides of the plate. If you saw the Phillies, and it wasn't like the Phillies were all standing on the plate trying to take the inside away and trying to turn and burn on everything they get. He literally wasn't challenging them inside. He was challenging them up a little bit, especially when he'd miss, but there were some times where he was missing up on purpose. But where was he missing a lot? Out. And when he'd have to come back in, they would take advantage of it. But he wasn't dominating the inside. He didn't have a presence on the inside. And when you don't have a presence on both sides of the plate, it puts you in a very tough position because it shrinks where you can go. And if it shrinks where you can go, it gives the hitter a better chance to guess what he's going to get. And when these guys do guess, which a lot of times you have to think fastball and adjust, but the scouting reports and the analytics are so good on guys now, you know their tendencies, you know what they're willing to throw in certain counts and what they're not willing to throw, how they pitch backwards when they do pitch backwards, the amount of pitches they have. So when you guess right at this level, you make people pay. That's how good these guys are at the plate.
All right, let's go to the Green Soldier. He says, how do you see the Braves responding, David? Have they been good Have they been good in answering in series late this season?
Well, look, this is the postseason, so to me, everything else is off the table. Kyle Wright's on the mound. I expect the Braves to bounce back again because, like we said, they have a great hitting lineup, but then they have the better bullpen too. So to me, while it's frustrating to lose with your ace on the mound when you're not going against either Zach Wheeler or Aaron Nola, you have to go get this game right here. And what we saw yesterday, you're talking about protecting the inside part of the plate. Even that opening double, Jake, by Acuna, who hasn't been protecting the inside part of that plate and hitting inside pitches that much or that well recently. Line one down, got a double right off the bat. I thought that was a great sign. So, look, I hope the Braves bounce back. But to me, the most impressive thing from the Phillies was just the way they were swinging the bats.
Yeah, it was they showed up to play. They showed up and look.
We baseball, man.
You have guys that have postseason experience for the Braves. Obviously, you see what they did last year. They won the World Series without Acuna. Now, I know there's some different pieces that were there last year that aren't this year. Jorge Soler, Ozuna, examples like that. But these guys do have experience, and they hawked down the Mets when they had to. They've shown late in the season when they had to sweep the Mets at home, what did they do? They swept them. So they've shown the ability to step up in clutch situations. You just got to do it again.
Are the Braves a better team when their back's against the wall?
Some teams are. You never really want to be in that position.
True.
But, I mean, I don't know if it's much backs against the wall or as when they're doubted. I mean, last year, they were an underdog pretty much going through it, especially once they got to the Dodgers, and then you get to the Astros, especially without Acuna and Soroka. It was a great story. Backs against the wall when you're expected to do some things, that's when I think the Braves have struggled. You know, the Braves won the division like 14 years in a row and only had one World Series. So you're trying to kind of reverse that trend during the Bobby Cox era a little bit.
And Dansby Swanson's not going to swing the bat as poorly as he did last night for the whole season.
No, I don't think so.
So that's exciting for you. And Travis d'Arnaud has proven to really be a staple of that offense.
Okay. Yep, let's go Jimbo Eagle. Hashtag question for Crane & Co. Which professional sports team should be cut permanently due to being long, perennial losers?
Man.
Alabama.
Alabama.
Professional sport. Oh, you're right.
Yeah, thank you.
I would say, look, Sacramento Kings, get out of here. You'll never win. Like, you'll never win. There's enough teams in California. You got the Lakers and the Warriors. Sacramento, you ought to, I think they got a soccer team out there they really support. Y'all do that. Do MLS. Y'all make MLS great again. We didn't need you in the NBA. You're never going to win. I'm sorry. It's just, look, you want me to lie to you? Let me sit here and tell you everything's good. You want me to tell you your bottom's more special than anybody's bottom out there? It's not. You're just ass. Get out of here, King.
Cone? Keep cutting, bud.
My first thought is always I go to the Cleveland Browns, but they've been trying, been signing guys, they've been playing well. I have Nick Chubb on my fantasy team.
Could be a happy ending for them.
Keep that pin and pull game going. Maybe there's a happy ending, Jake. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to disrespect the Browns listeners right now, but that's where my mind goes, Blaine.
All right, Blaine, let's stay with the Booster Club. I'm liking this.
All right, then let's stay with Jimbo Eagle. Play, bench, cut, NFL, MLB, NBA.
I'm going to play NFL. I'm going to bench MLB, and I'm going to cut the NBA.
Same.
Yes, I knew.
Same. Even though I think Adam Silver is doing a better job than the other commissioners, to be honest.
I would.
In terms of communication with
as
fans.
sad as that is, I think that's right.
Yeah.
I do think that's right.
Guess when I say better, I just mean communication with fans, not necessarily the direction.
Yeah, Dana White's better than all of them anyway.
Get Dana in there.
All right, Mike RFF, lifestyle. It's a lifestyle, guys.
It's a lifestyle.
All right, either you get it or you don't get it, so figure it out. Let's go to, do we have any NBA predictions yet? You want us to know? Any predictions in your head?
Not the Lakers.
NBA?
Not the Lakers.
Before Christmas? No.
The
After
Warriors.
Christmas, I'll think about that.
The Warriors. The Warriors are going to win. There you go.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. I mean, let's see.
Oh, by the way, NHL starting as well, guys.
Oh, yeah.
It started, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Did y'all see the intro for the NHL game from the referee before the game started?
No.
He gave a little monologue to the fans right before the game
What?
started. Yeah, literally he's like, thanks for everyone for showing up. We hope it's the guys are ready to he's about to drop the puck and closes it on.
The referee said
Yeah, he's like, let's have a great season. And he just dropped the puck and everything.
What?
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Who
look it
does
up.
that?
Yeah, look it up. He was talking to the fans right before the hockey game started.
I'm
not making this up.
No, I know you're not.
I'm not making this up. This is a real thing. I was like, dog, just drop the puck. You're not a public speaker. All right, just get the calls.
Yeah,
right.
referee.
Yeah,
referee good.
It was weird.
It still blows my mind. Like you must have to just all referees in hockey have to like either be one of two professions before. Either you were a professional figure skater or you had to play hockey. Because I watched those guys skate. I'm like, number one, it's hard to referee. I'll give you that. But you know what's even harder to do? Referee on ice skates. There's nothing easier to do on ice skates. Going to the store, walking the dogs. I mean, nothing is easier on ice skates. Yet you guys are skating like Kristi Yamaguchi, signaling icing and stuff like that. It's impressive.
And the way that the rink is configured, you can't just get out of the way.
No,
like if you're a referee on a football field or a basketball court, you can, players come in, you can sort of duck out of bounds.
There's no hide.
There's no hiding.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to go, man.
Well, it's when you say things like you're in the rink, like it sounds like there's nowhere to go.
Oh, it's got
So like the rink, the octagon, you're about to get beat up, all those type things kind of really stand in the same pool.
All right, let's go to Bubby. What's up, Bubby?
Bubby.
Says, how long until the Vikings implode, and what are your early NHL picks?
I'll pull up the schedule.
Say it again. Say the first part again.
How long until the Vikings implode,
No,
and what are your early NHL picks?
Preds.
I'm going to say this.
Fires
because
in five.
I feel so bad for the Leafs. I think the Leafs do it this year.
You think so?
Braden Point, I think they do it this year. You're so good offensively. You just choke every time you get to the playoffs. Eventually, it's got to stop, right? Stop for the Red Sox. Stop for the Cubs. Eventually, it's got to stop and it's got to change.
With our boy Austin Matthews for the Maple Leafs?
Yes, Austin Matthews as well. Braden Point, I know he was injured and he came back last week. But I do think the Maple Leafs do it. I do think they do.
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
All right, well, let's go ahead and bring in, shift gears here, our buddy, college football extraordinaire, genius, scientist,
Wait,
doer
also,
of many things.
Braden Point, I think Lightning.
Lightning. Sorry.
Lightning.
I meant to say Austin Matthews.
Come in my wife's house.
Austin Matthews.
I meant to say Austin Matthews.
You get her
Calm
name
down.
down.
Corrected real quick.
Calm down.
Get out. You leave, sir.
You make me sick.
You leave.
You make me
Sit down.
What you said about Jimbo's
You
son
sit
is
down.
wrong. What you said about Jimbo's son is wrong.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Tom Luginbill, what's up from ESPN? Todd Lugs, what's up, man?
What are you guys cackling about this morning?
Well,
Hockey.
I missaid a hockey player's name, okay?
Look,
Give me a break.
It's not allowed.
It's live television. It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, Braden Point for the Lightning. I meant to say Austin Matthews for the Leafs. We all know the Lightning have had success before. I mean, hell, they won the thing back-to-back before the Avalanche just came down from the mountain and consumed everybody last year.
They did do that.
They did do that. But we didn't bring Tom on to talk hockey.
No.
Hey, Jake, just remember, and this goes for everybody. Everybody on Twitter does not make any mistakes, especially when they're on live television or live radio. Everybody sitting at home makes no mistakes. No.
Yes, that's very true. That's
I'm
very
gonna write
true.
that down.
And now you can edit stuff with Twitter Blue. So pretty excited.
Right.
Yeah, pretty excited about that. But Tom, look, speaking about editing stuff, there's some teams that would like to edit their season so far, but there's a couple that haven't. A big matchup, we're talking a lot about the SEC and stuff like that. Penn State, and I know why a lot of people still aren't really talking about them. They tend to have a habit of doing this where they play well early in the year and get your expectations up. But when they run into the big boys, Michigan, Ohio State, or they get into some part of the schedule where there are expectations or big games, they have fallen flat lately under James Franklin. What do you feel about Penn State going into the big house with Sean Clifford, who just got his AARP card? They've got a good secondary, two really good backs, and that offensive line starting to play a little bit better.
I had them in week 2 at home versus Ohio, and I know it was super early, but I did come away very, very impressed with their team overall. They have a lot of depth at a lot of different places. They've got 3 true freshmen. You mentioned 2 of them in Nick Singleton and the other back, and then as well as Abdul Carter, the linebacker, who I think is going to be a future first-round draft choice that have really come on for them. And for me, this is all about Sean Clifford's consistency, Sean Clifford delivering, and he's done that so far this year. A lot of that has to do with him remaining healthy, right? I mean, you got to stay healthy if you're Sean Clifford, if you're going to give Penn State a chance. If you guys remember when they went in and they were playing Iowa and they were beating up on Iowa pretty good. And then all of a sudden, Sean Clifford goes down. Yeah. They lose that game and it tanks their season, right? And so they got to avoid something like that. I have to be honest with you guys, we should be having the same questions about Michigan. I mean, outside of last year, Michigan hasn't been a program that's performed well against top 10 opponents. Mm-hmm. Michigan has not been a program that's performed well in games of high expectation. And Michigan this year, much like Penn State, hasn't played anybody. When you look at the early portion, everybody was sitting there going, well, why would Jim Harbaugh do this with the quarterbacks? How does that make any sense? Look at who the first three opponents were. It was literally a danger-free zone. He could literally do open tryouts with those guys and not be in danger of losing the game. So we're going to find out, I think, a lot about both of these teams, not just Penn State.
Yeah, and you have to if you're Penn State. And I'll tell you this, Clifford, we know he's the experienced guy. The backup they have, Aller, is going to be a heck of a player. That you talk about NFL player,
tree.
That he's a tree number one.
Huge.
He's not a stiff tree. He can blow in the wind a little bit when he moves, but he's got an absolute hand cannon, a laser. And he also is able to have touch when he throws the ball. But I think the biggest key in this game, Parker Washington and Mitchell Tinsley for Penn State. Not only being able to receive the ball, down the field and be able to get chunk plays, but yards after the catch. Being able to create big plays against this Michigan defense that aren't exactly down the field. It's almost like stealing a little bit. Whether it's a 3rd and 8 where you catch a slant, you're able to get 8.5 and get that first down. And then Parker Washington in the special teams game as well. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I was just going to say one other add to that. And it didn't manifest itself as well when I had them. But Penn State loves to be in 13 personnel. But when they're in it, they're not necessarily in a condensed formation. They might be in 4 wides. Yeah. And now you're on defense sitting there going, well, wait a minute. What type of personnel should we have on the field?
Yep.
They're not. They're going to split these guys out. They can put the one, get Theo Johnson, and then get the other 2 guys. One's lined up in the slot, and then they move another one and creates real mismatch problems. To your point, complimenting Mitchell Tinsley, who is a great addition through the transfer portal.
Yeah,
but those tight ends, if they're back to full health, is going to be, I think, could be a dangerous and formidable opponent for Michigan on defense.
Sounds a lot like Georgia with what they do after heavy personnel, being able to split guys out. Very similar there. My second question for you, let's go out west. Let's get the surfboard and talk about some stuff that about 11 people care about out there. Are you buying UCLA or USC right now? I'm telling you, Tom, I'm buying UCLA. UCLA, to me, from what I have seen, and this is kind of an anomaly, and I don't know if it'll keep up. But UCLA is kind of doing so far what it looks like Baylor and Oklahoma State did in the Big 12 last year. They went against the normal grain, and they're a physical team. UCLA plays a physical brand of football, and I think, at least from what I've seen, it's kind of come through Zach Charbonnet. I think Zach Charbonnet has brought in a physical aspect that I think has rubbed off on DTR, who is already a tough guy, but mentally he seems a little bit more tougher. He seems to have a little bit more of an edge. And then that defense, I know they're down a lot of the interior defensive linemen. They got some guys that were banged up early, but if you watch them play, they're arriving with anger. I have not seen UCLA play this angry since the last time somebody from the Daily Wire went out there to do their free speech.
I'll say this. They're basically built just like Utah. The difference is they're more explosive on offense.
It's a good call.
They're more explosive on offense. And, DTR threw an interception last week. It was the first time in 5 weeks, right? So they're very, very good with the football. To your point, Zach Charbonnet, he's a physical downhill runner, not too different than Tavion Thomas at Utah. And you see a lot of similarities in that particular matchup. UCLA just made far fewer errors than Utah did. And when you ask, all right, who are you buying, USC or UCLA? It's UCLA to me, and here's why. SC has been afforded so many gifts. I mean, have you looked at how many times that people have turned the ball over against USC?
I'm starting to want, we're doing our conspiracy theory segment 15, soon. I'm starting to ask some questions.
Yeah. What is it? 15, 16 times, something to that effect.
16.
And USC, to their credit, hasn't turned it over very often. But SC is awful on defense. But everybody keeps giving them 4 extra possessions a game with that offense, and now all of a sudden you've got yourself a winning outcome. But if they play against somebody that doesn't turn the ball over, that can effectively run the football, that's not going to be the case for SC. So I'm taking UCLA. If you're asking that question, the Bruins, the way they're playing right now, they're going to be tough to beat for anybody. I mean, and you know what? On top of that, Oregon's turning into a team that's tough to beat. I'm trying to figure out what alien spaceship came down and swapped bodies in Bo Nix with some other guy that all of a sudden understands consistency. I mean, it's the strangest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's you give Bo Nix an offensive line that isn't made with third graders, bubble gums, and wishes. It's amazing what could happen. By the way, Zach Charbonnet is an absolute James Conner clone, in my opinion.
No doubt.
Yeah,
no
I
doubt.
like it. Good one.
Yeah. The first thing I was thinking about hearing you guys talk about the Michigan and Penn State matchup was the game in 2005. It was the year before I got there when Penn State was undefeated and Michigan had a young Chad Henne starting at quarterback. And Chad Henne had to throw that short double post pattern to Mario Manningham for the touchdown on the very last play. Obviously, I was invested in that because I was a recruit at that time, even though I wasn't on the team. At some point, J.J. McCarthy is going to have to throw them to a win. He doesn't have to do it every single week. They have weapons on that offense. Blake Corum is elite. The front four of Michigan's defense is really starting to come along. But at some point, Tom, I think J.J. McCarthy is going to have to throw them to a win, and it may be this weekend.
Y'all got another monster at the defensive end, too. Good Lord.
Yes, no question. But you're right about you get into a tight game, and sooner or later, there's going to be a 1 minute or a 2 minute scenario that you're going to be left with a timeout or without a timeout or 2 timeouts or 3 timeouts. And you're going to have to push the ball downfield in order to win the game, which leads me to why, if Bryce Young doesn't play this week, which everybody's hoping he will, Alabama's not built to get into a track meet. Jalen Milroe is not built to go tit for tat with Hendon Hooker in the vertical passing game. That could be problematic if Bryce Young doesn't go.
Yeah, well, that's where I was going to go. Number 3, Alabama coming to Tennessee. The Vols just put a shellacking on LSU in Baton Rouge. Let's just say that Bryce Young does play. Can Tennessee win this football game in Knoxville, regardless of who plays quarterback for Alabama?
I think they are capable. Couple of things stand out. Number one, you can't let Tennessee get off to a fast start as a result of a mistake you've made. Did you see how that LSU game started?
Oh, yeah.
That thing was over within 2 minutes of the first quarter because of those first couple of plays. And then when they get ahead like that, where they are really good at putting their foot to the bottom of the pedal and just taking off, they revel in being in the track meet scenario. They want to get 90, 95 plays. They want you to have to keep up with them. And is Bryce Young capable of doing that? Absolutely. So that's number one. You can't let Tennessee get off to a start where they're dictating terms. Number two, and this is staggering. All right, I was looking through it this week. Tennessee is +5 in turnover margin. You know what Alabama is?
-3.
-6.
Wow.
-6. Worst turnover margin since 2014 for Alabama. They are not creating turnovers. And by the way, of that +5 for Tennessee, 10 total forced turnovers, 5 turnovers for Tennessee, no interceptions. They're all fumbles. So Hendon Hooker's playing clean, man. You're going to have to get him to turn the ball over, give it back to you. I still think that Alabama, top to bottom, has the better roster, but Tennessee may be playing better football.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, I love it. Let's go to the Big 12. All right, let's go a little Oklahoma State TCU. This game is huge. One of my favorite slates on the weekend. Spencer Sanders, Duggan, basically these two teams with a Spider-Man GIF pointing at each other. Tom, who do you like coming on top in this game?
The team that makes the fewest errors. I think they're built so similar to one another. The quarterbacks are kind of playing out of their mind right now. You expected that a bit from Spencer Sanders, but not from Max Duggan. I just think that right now, TCU's kind of feeling themselves, man. They're believing. They're buying in, kind of getting hot, peaking at the right time. They're going down the stretch, and all of a sudden, instead of going into a matchup on the road at Kansas or going into a matchup with Oklahoma saying, I don't know, you think we could win this one? Now they're going into games saying, we're going to win this game. But I feel the same way about Oklahoma State. And I think this could be one of those kind of determining factors down the road, depending on how Texas progresses, that could have a legitimate impact on the Big 12 conference championship and the outcome of that game. But I'm gonna stick with the hot hand here. And what's the line on this, by the way?
4.5. I believe it's 4.5 TCU.
4.5 TCU?
Really?
It's,
really?
I
Okay, I'm
believe
gonna
it's 4.5 TCU. I'd have to double check.
I'm on it.
All right, I'm going to take outright.
Right now it's
I'm gonna take TCU.
right now it's -3.5 TCU.
Okay.
On DraftKings.
Man, Tom, that receiving core for TCU's for real, man. And it's not like they got a
Quentin
bunch of guys
Johnson.
that do the
Ooh.
same things. I mean, Johnson, you've got
They got
the
big,
Darius
small,
kid. I
medium.
mean, good Lord. That
Basketball team.
Yeah, legitimately.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
All right, let's go to Travis Elrod, #AskTom. He says, if Syracuse wins its next 3 games against NC State, Clemson, and Notre Dame, do they have a path to the college football playoff?
They absolutely do, because that would put them in position to outright win the conference and be a Power 5 conference champion. And, by that time, if those things were to happen, there would be some other chaos that we can all, as we've seen in the first 6 weeks of the season, we can all, assume there's going to be more of it. And that's not to say that it wouldn't include Syracuse in a negative way, but let's just forecast and say Syracuse does those things. Then next thing you know, with other things happening around the conference, absolutely it could put them in position to do that. And Dino Babers deserves a lot of credit. Let me tell you where Dino Babers deserves the most credit. And all you have to do is look at the University of Virginia right now and what's happened to Brennan Armstrong in that offense.
Yep.
When he hired Robert Anae and Jason Beck away from Virginia and went away from kind of the Baylor-tailored offense and went to what they were doing with Brennan Armstrong the last 2 years at Virginia, it completely transformed the entire offense. They already had a defense coming into the season at Syracuse, and a lot of those guys were playing because during the pandemic year, they had opt-outs, they had COVID issues, and then they had injuries. Next thing you know, they're playing with a bunch of young guys. Well, now those young guys are 2 years fast forward on defense, and they're really good. But to get the play they're getting out of Garrett Schrader has been phenomenal. I think that they've got a tough road to hoe coming up. I mean, they really do. Florida State's experiencing that right now. They dropped the one to Wake, lost a heartbreaker to NC State. Now they got Clemson coming to town. So depending on how your schedule lays out, I've always said, where you play, who you play, and when you play them. Those 3 things in a schedule have a huge impact on the success of your team.
And Sean Tucker's a guy that can make huge moments in big games. He's that good of a back, and the way him and Garrett Schrader have played off each other. I mean, remember, Garrett Schrader was moved to wide receiver at Mississippi State before he transferred to Syracuse. And now I think he's actually going to get a shot in the league. Just watching him operate, kind of seeing what some scouts are saying, big guy with a big arm. And his upside, you haven't seen enough to really know how big the upside is, which can be a good thing when you're that size. And he can move. Like Garrett Schrader can move.
He's a good athlete.
Yeah, he's a really good athlete.
I have one real quick here because we have 6 games in the top 25, Tom. But since you talked about Florida State, one outside of that that's interesting is number 4 Clemson going to the Seminoles. You've seen both teams up close and personal. We're talking about the ACC here. How could Florida State upset Clemson this weekend?
DJ needs to regress. DJ has thrown 14 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's done everything that Dabo said he would do, and nobody else believed it. They started to grow up a little bit in the offensive line. Even without Brian Bresee, they're playing good defense. It just shows you how deep they are. So he's got to go on the road, and they've got to make some errors. And then Florida State's got to capitalize. I think Florida State, leading up to the Wake game, had been playing such clean football, and we hadn't seen that from Florida State. Then all of a sudden you get into that Wake game, which I had, and Wake Forest made a couple of plays here and there, and then Florida State started to revert back and self-destruct, a lot of self-inflicted wounds, and it cost them the football game. Wake Forest outplayed them, made fewer errors. If the crowd's going to be into it, I think it's going to be loud. I think it's going to be raucous. DJ has dealt with that to get the win that they got at Wake Forest 3 weeks ago. I think it's going to help them go into Tallahassee. But that's how I see Florida State taking care of business here. Get a little bit of help from Clemson, because you get Jared Verse, all right, you get Fabian Lovett, get all those guys back at full strength, which they weren't playing with for about 2 to 3 weeks. They are a force to be reckoned with. They can create some real problems for Clemson up front, force an error or two, and then capitalize. If you're Florida State and you get a gift, you have to turn it into points, not field goals, turn it into touchdowns, capitalize on drives, and close the deal.
Definitely.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one.
Yeah, well, speaking about capitalizing and closing the deal, you do both when we get you on here, Lugs. Appreciate you so much, my friend. Where are you going to be calling this weekend?
I got a unique one, guys. I've got Arkansas at BYU.
Oh, that's fun.
It's
that's
sneaky, right?
I wish this game, I wish Arkansas and BYU, and I know that each side has done a couple things, but I wish they had done better. I wish Arkansas wasn't so beat up, because this game was one I was looking at before the season. Like, this could have huge implications for both teams, and now it's just kind of like one of the ones on the slate this weekend.
I feel bad for the Hogs, man. I mean, they are on crutches. They're on gurneys.
It's a triage tent,
limping.
man.
I mean, it is, man. And they're just hanging on by a thread. And I'm going to talk to Sam Pittman here later this morning and get a sense of where they're at. But yeah, unique one out in the mountains, man. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it will be. It's a really cool matchup. Appreciate you as always, Tom.
All right, guys. Good morning. Take care.
Thanks, man.
All right, brother. All right, hey, if you want to watch the rest of this, we got John Brenkus from Sports Science coming on right after the break. We got David Cohn's Get Off My Lawn. So if you want to watch this, head over to Daily Wire Plus. Become a member. Just do it. Do it now. Or listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe. Leave a 5-star review because we're 5-star players. And share it with your friends. Y'all can all be 5 stars together. It's literally a solar system around here. We'll be right back. Every Wednesday, one of our favorite segments to watch is our 6'7" friend who's really a 75-year-old or a Clint Eastwood trapped in a 34-year-old's body. David Cohn tells somebody to get off his lawn. David, who are you screaming at with that cane and wheelchair this week, old man?
Today, I've got to tell Stan Van Gundy to get off my lawn. Now, most of you remember Stan Van Gundy from his time coaching in the National Basketball Association, and by all accounts, he was a solid coach. Somewhere along the way, however, Coach Van Gundy turned into political Twitter hack Van Gundy, and the Booster Club is fighting back. Cohn's laser rocket arm, my Twitter namesake, and Blaine's mustache, two of the greatest social media handles of all time, waged war this week on Van Gundy's beta virtue signaling. First, Van Gundy sent the obligatory Indigenous Peoples Day tweet on Columbus Day, claiming that our people, quote unquote, stole land and we all must repent, yada, yada. When reminded that he was free to give up his property at any time, Van Gundy stated, quote, I'd rather pay higher taxes for reparations. Man, he wiggled free of that one like you can only hope to on a straitjacket day.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
With the next tweet, Van Gundy called out Nike founder Phil Knight for donating money to a Republican politician in Oregon. That's a no-no. To which Cohn's laser rocket arm asked a simple question. Will you now speak out against Nike's slave labor in China? The former coach's response? I can find my comments to issues in this country. He said, man, China got you good.
Locked up.
It was the final exchange, though, that turned Van Gundy from a get-off-my-lawn candidate to a get-off-my-lawn casualty, when it was pointed out that he called parents hypocrites for opposing kid-friendly drag shows. There's no such thing as kid-friendly drag shows, Stan. That's an oxymoron with mutually exclusive concepts. How perverted must one be to think children should have a front row seat to witness cross-dressers dancing? And this guy was supposed to be a leader of young men? Are there no more John Woodens in the world? Booster Club, keep up the good work, call these people out, keep them away from your children, and get them off your lawn.
Cohn, that was maybe your best one. That may be your best one. I love when you scream at people to get off your lawn.
Stan Van Gundy, what a
Blaine's mustache.
Hey, we're there, buddy.
Yeah, what a bum.
Cohn's laser rocket arm. I don't know.
Jeff's so much better.
Huh?
Jeff's so much better than
Jeff
Stan.
Van Gundy. We got to get Jeff on, man.
You know what? I'm going to really opine on this when we have some more time, because I want to go Greg Louganis and dive down, put on the scuba gear as well, stay down there for a while and really dive down and get some.
I wouldn't have even caught it.
But I tell you what.
Yeah, it was.
I tell you what.
It's the Twitter accounts.
If you ever wanted to know how scuba gear worked, or if you ever wanted to know about how anything worked, there was a great show when it came down to sports science. It was hosted by a guy named John Brenkus, who's doing a great job with Brinks TV, Brinks.com, some great stuff. John Brenkus, what is up, my friend? It's great to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. As it turns out, I actually know quite a bit about scuba. I don't know much about many things, but scuba is one of the things I know about.
That's the closest I get to scuba, Scooby-Doo. Just I'm not down. It's like I got told one time, don't go far into the woods, or don't go too far into the woods or the water. Now that was from an Australian, and if you look up why,
yeah,
it makes
that's
a lot
different.
of sense.
It makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
But no, I'd be down to do it. I'd be down to do it. Reed, my fiance's tried to get me to do it,
Never,
but John, I was so excited when Cohn told me that you were going to be able to come on, and I know you've got your hand in a lot of things. What you guys are doing with NIL, I think, so fascinating as well. But Sports Science was one of my favorite shows of all time. I mean, every time, even when the segments would come on, I'd watch every single segment. I know it kind of came out of a UFC, like fight science, or not UFC, but like a fight science type show as well. But can you just tell me, what was the craziest thing that you ever, when you guys were on Sports Science, when you were trying to find something out that you saw and you were like, I can't believe that? Was it like the force of like Ray Lewis hitting somebody, or what was it?
We did so many things on Sports Science. We did 1,800 episodes, so it's very difficult to pick one.
You want to know how it's working?
difficult.
Yeah, you do 1,800 of them.
Wow.
That's how you know it's working.
Yeah, I mean, we were incredibly blessed. It's easier. It's hard to pick like your favorite child because
For
they're
sure,
all like,
for sure.
wow, this is amazing. But we had days where we were we raced an ostrich against an NFL quarterback, and the ostrich shows up and everyone's like, what are we supposed to be doing now? Oh my God, it's a really super deadly animal. And
Yeah.
we're like standing with the, giant ostrich running up against a D-back.
Gives a whole new meaning to being ostracized.
Yeah, I think it was Dennis Northcote. It was pretty amazing. I love all the animal segments, but I really do all the animal segments, like where I raced a bear, we had, alligators on set and rattlesnakes and all kinds of crazy things. But what I really liked was just meeting the athletes. That because we never paid anybody to be on the show, that it was really an honor to get onto the show because you had to be the best of the best. And when you run into people like Larry Fitzgerald and Drew Brees and Ray Lewis and guys that are just mega stars, and they're totally unassuming. They're there for free. You just hang out. You create an immediate friendship and a bond because they're just there because they really want to be there. That really stands out. But also the athletes who are more my size blew me away. So somebody like Earl Thomas, or even like a Drew Brees.
For sure.
When you start looking at the athletes, if you're 6'5", 240, you're doing something. I mean, there aren't a lot of human beings who are that size, but if you're 5'9", 5'10",
Exactly.
enlist yourself at 6 feet, not that many people. You fall into a category where you just blow me away.
Well, that's why I say in the NBA, they asked me what team do I cheer for. I said I don't have a team. I cheer for everybody that's under 6'3". Because if you're under 6'3" in the NBA and you're playing, you're a witch, number one. But I actually remember, John, the Drew Brees when the hitting the target. Larry Fitzgerald, I think, was the catch radius. I mean, he was basically like, Mr. Gadget, just go gadget arms everywhere. How you'd ever incomplete a pass to the guy? I mean, you basically got to overthrow him by 20 feet.
Man. That is amazing, amazing. John, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Please tell our buddy Rob Vaca I said hello. We met years ago, man. But I wanted to talk about concussions because it's been in the news a lot, and we saw Tua Tagovailoa with an injury on a Sunday game where he was wobbling a bit, and then he comes back on a Thursday night game against the Bengals, and it kind of causes an uproar here. What do you think the future of football is going to look like, and was that situation mishandled by the NFL, and where does blame lie there?
So concussions has been a topic that I've been super consistent on. When we started Sports Science, it was 2006, and people are like, oh my God, what do you think about it? What do you think about it? And I just think it's kind of like saying, well, what do we think about, what do you think what do you think about, I don't want to use an inappropriate analogy, but what I will say is that it is part of the game. It's part of the game, and there's nothing we can do about it. And the more that we're like, well, we certainly can do something about it. I'll give an example. The UFC and every major boxing organization, if you get knocked out, the return to training, not actual fighting, just training, is 90 days.
Yeah.
That's saying, hey, brain injuries are rough. The NFL will never say, well, you got a concussion, you're sitting out for 90 days. And the current protocol is there, I think, to try to make disasters not happen. They're just like, man, we got to make sure that someone's on their own 2 feet. But it's not even close to the amount of time that it takes to fully recover from a concussion. And I'm not even saying that, we need to make sure they sit out and don't come back until they're totally absolutely 100%. At this point, we know what the risks are. And, I think the Tua situation clearly was mishandled. And Tua is the extreme case.
Yes.
But there are, 100 little cases every week where, they was probably handled right. They probably took an abundance of caution. And, the amount of true Tua situations are very few and far in between.
Yeah, no one wants to see players get hurt. That's what we were talking about a lot. At the same time, the flip side of that is if you take a player out after taking a hit and maybe they're concussed or maybe not, but you play it safe, then someone else has to go into the game. And if you get into a wildcat situation, especially at quarterback, a running back's going to end up taking more hits in that game than they otherwise would have.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, you know what you sign up for. Look, you know what you can be smart too. We have a problem in today's society of not understanding two things can be true at once. It always has to be one thing is true and the other side is evil or horrible. You know that concussions happen in football. All right, we know that. We know that football is not like the UFC where you can fight once every 4, 5, 6 months. You can take 90 days to come back and train and get ready or whatever. It's a totally different deal. Nobody is forcing anybody to play. And that doesn't mean I can still say that and say, you know what? The NFL needs to be as smart as humanly possible when it comes to this. But like I said yesterday, when you see some of these roughing the passer calls and the way it's changing the game, it's actually going to hurt the game more than anything if they take the reason people watch football is because it's grown men running into each other at full speed, making crazy catches and stuff like that. You know what? If everything was that easy, if it was just about something else, you'd have 80,000 people showing up to watch somebody take a chemistry test. Or I don't know, jump a dog through a hoop. It doesn't matter. It's the truth of it. This isn't Iran. Nobody's making anybody do anything. That's why when you come out and complain about it, it's hard for me to feel sorry for you because you signed the paper. And guess what? They're paying you millions of dollars to do it. Millions of dollars. Be safe, be smart, but don't ruin the game. And also, on the other hand, realize you signed the paper, dog. They gave you the waiver. Here's what it is. And guys say all the time, I'll die on that field. I'll die on that field. Whatever. All right, well, you're going to say that. You're going to say that and then complain about not getting paid more when a concussion happens. I just don't think those two things are mutually exclusive.
Man, I wish I knew what your opinion was.
I know, right? Nobody does. Nobody does.
That falls in the gray area.
I'm gonna write it in the letter.
Yeah, right. You were just penning a very strongly worded letter.
It was very strongly worded, John.
Very strongly.
Very strongly, and it will. Somebody is going to get in trouble.
Someone is. I mean, someone has to. You know what's interesting in what you're saying is, I wrote a book called The Perfection Point, and it was all about PEDs as an example. And there's this black hat, white hat mentality about PEDs. And my attitude has always been, look, if John Brenkus can walk into the doctor and say, God, my back hurts. And he's like, you know what you need? You need some HGH.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to feel so much better. And I can take it and I then can go compete in a triathlon or do whatever. It's like if we regulate things that we know are safe for human consumption and it's done under medical supervision, I'm not sure who would say, I don't want my athlete taking something that's going to make them better. It doesn't make any sense to me. At the same time, by having that attitude, I mean, obviously cocaine is bad, LSD is bad, and people have been doing that during a game forever.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers.
You hear all these accounts. Dwight Gooden saying, "Oh my God, I was pitching games. I don't even remember it." I'm a no hitter.
Blaine, this is your wheelhouse, Blaine.
No, John, I do got to say, Blaine, I'm so glad you said that about PEDs.
Been on this bus for a while.
Blaine has an idea to get Major League Baseball back to prominence. Tell him, Blaine. Just go ahead. Go ahead.
Two things.
Go ahead.
PEDs, I agree with. If we can regulate it, let them. I want to see guys hit it 700 feet. I want to see guys throw it 105 miles per hour. All right. And another thing to get ratings up. Instead of the seventh inning stretch, we're going to have the seventh inning fight. All right, one guy from each team. Doesn't matter who it is. If they don't like each other, they agree to meet on the mound. They fight each other. Then let's get on with the game. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, if it's me, I'm buying a ticket to that. I'm at least staying for the seventh. You know, I'm at least
go watch the Savannah.
And if you stay at the seventh, you basically stay for the whole game.
Yeah,
that's exactly
more innings.
So I think, John, we're on the kind of the right track here. And another thing. big question I want to ask you: if a train leaves Delaware at 9 o'clock, I don't know the rest of it. Yeah, you probably. I
promise Blake doesn't.
He's like, you don't know the question, but I still know the answer.
I still don't know.
John's like, it arrives 11 o'clock in DeKalb, Illinois.
But John, I love where your heads have the PEDs. I think it's a real thing. There's not really an in-between. There's people on other ends of the spectrum, and they're both just ridiculous. But let's go to the Booster Club and Travis Elrod, all right? Hashtag Ask John. He says, anything that you wanted to test that you ended up not being able to?
Great question.
Oh, me?
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Hashtag Ask John.
The one thing that you wanted to test that we weren't able to test, I mean, we started once Michael Jordan had already left, and it was just on the edge. So obviously it would have been amazing to test Jordan. Fortunately, I've been able, I lived in Park City and Jordan lived in Park City, and he was a huge sports science fan, which is awesome. So that meant I got to play golf with Michael Jordan. That's for that's another story.
I'm sure you said play golf, John? You said play golf?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure there's a story behind that one.
There's a great story behind that one.
Yeah.
But when you do 1,800 of something, and you're like every single time, and I mean this seriously, we had an amazing team of people who came up with some really creative stuff. But after season one, when we're sitting around, I think on Fox Sports, season one was 13 episodes. We had 2 best ofs. It was 11 episodes, and there were like 6 or 7 segments in each episode. So we had to come up with like 70 or 80 things. At the end of the 70, we were like, well, we're done. I mean, we can't come up with any more. Like, how many more things could we do? Cut to 1,800 later. And they're just, it's that we are still testing. So I'm still doing a lot of sports science stuff with brands, Brinks TV, which is, merges content with commerce on a brand new platform. I'm still doing a lot of sports science stuff. So my desire and ability to push things to the limit certainly hasn't stopped.
Definitely. Well, John, go ahead.
I want to ask just quickly, just because you were talking about steroids and Aaron Judge just hit the 60-second home run past Maris. We saw in the late 90s, early 2000s with the steroid era, Mark McGwire, Sosa, Barry Bonds. What are your thoughts there in terms of who the true home run king is?
I mean, that's a great question. Barry Bonds has been vilified to such a degree. It's like Barry Bonds. And I think that's a total shame. One thing that we did on sports science is there were a lot of people who were like out to get Barry Bonds and to show that, his PED use somehow helped him hit a home run. Now, if you were to take every home run that he hit when he was Skinny Barry, and then every home run that he hit when he was Big Barry, you look at it and you go, well, wouldn't the distance of the ball be different? And the answer is no. In fact, he hit it farther when he was skinny because more muscle mass reduces bat speed because it's more mass. You have to move through space. And when you look at it and you say, yeah, but all the arguments are silly. That, well, the ball would have gone 10 feet farther. It's like, no, it would have gone 10 feet less. So you can't take it away. Now, why did it help? Why do PEDs or steroids or the cream or the clear or whatever people are taking? Why does it help? There are 3 reasons. One, it absolutely helps your body recover. 2, it actually increases the sharpness of eyesight. And no one ever talks about this, but an increased level of testosterone sharpens your vision. So that's 2. And then 3, it's the magic placebo. It is the, oh my God, I am a superhuman and I can do this. So very few people are taking steroids. They, feel really great and they walk up. They're like, I bet I'm worse than I was before. I mean, they just think they're awesome. So they perform to that level. And if I had to pick the home run king, I would say Barry Bonds hit more home runs by a lot. And why are we putting the asterisk by it? Just say he hit it during a time when people were doing crazy stuff. It wasn't like he was the only one. So I would say it's Barry Bonds.
Fascinating.
Yeah, no, it's a very intriguing answer. I think it's a very intriguing argument. And I think something a lot of people don't realize, John, is that a lot of football coaches take HGH, including one of the greatest of all time, to keep them, obviously to help their bodies recover too as they get older. You got some guys that are 70, 75 years old, and it does a lot of things, especially, even when you're not playing. So it's not just about bulking up and doing that stuff. Hell, you can take creatine and add a bunch of water weight.
Okay.
It's not just about bulking up. There's a lot of other things that we get off of it.
There's no such thing when people say we need a level playing field. There is no such thing. By definition, players are different heights. They're different weights. Like they're at an advantage. So then you say, well, you can't have testosterone levels. You can't take testosterone. Well, what if some dude if you take the testosterone level, what if somebody naturally has more testosterone? Is that a disadvantage? It's like, and no matter what you're doing, if you eat healthy versus eating Twinkies, like, is that an advantage? They're like, there is no such thing as a level playing field. It's like PEDs, taking testosterone, that you're just trying to be like, look, I'm trying to push the limit and be the best that a human being could be while still being medically safe. And I don't know why we vilify it. I just think look, that's my chosen profession. If I'm a writer, I'm going to make sure I have spell check on my computer so I can write super fast.
That's why Babe Ruth is still the home run champion.
He did it with hot
60
dogs
on
and
hot
beer.
dogs and beer.
That's
like
exactly
Jake
right.
said.
That was the steroids back in the day. They just mix hot dogs and beer. Now we see guys drinking beer through a hot dog straw, which we're not going to talk about that anymore. But John, we appreciate it so much. And by the way, speaking about different testosterone, if you have low T, just text Frank Thomas. He'll get you a bottle of Nugenics. But John, I really appreciate you coming on, my friend. This has been a lot of fun for me. We'd love to have you back. I know you're still, like you said, in the lab cooking it up, finding out all the ins and outs. We really appreciate your time, my friend. Awesome. Listen, I really appreciate it. Thanks for all your support. And, check out Brinks.tv, BRINX.tv. Check out the NIL House. We have a really great show that we're doing with Rob Vaca as the co-host. Nice. That's everything NIL. Definitely. Well, John, we really appreciate it, my friend. Awesome. God bless you guys. Thanks.
Thanks, man.
Go to the beach. Yep. I was actually going to say that. You stole my line. My bad, dude. Stole my line. Speaking about lines and spreads and bets and picks and tall, short people and people in between. I needed that from John. I'm headed over to, I needed that from John.
I was not expecting that from the sports.
I was not
people in science together come in and agree with me.
So you mean scientists?
Yes.
I was not expecting that.
Well, I don't know if he really agreed with you. I think I think the injury prevention part is the biggest part in steroids because it helps you play longer and be more effective longer because that's the goal. It's, again,
I just got told the ball, you can hit the ball farther.
For longer.
With steroids.
You can hit the ball further for longer.
There wasn't any longer when we talked about this. It was farther because you're on steroids.
I still believe steroids help you hit the ball further. I still believe it.
That was a scientist.
Oh, okay. Well, Fauci's the scientist.
Is he?
And that guy's been wrong more than just about any. I
trust John a lot more than Fauci. Okay.
I do too. I'm not saying that. Hey, don't you put
any guy who's been that close to Larry Fitzgerald? I just trust.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Fauci.
Out here playing golf with Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Come on.
That's probably
now we have to hear the story.
That's probably really
we have to.
How are you
going to
tease it and just bail?
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, playing Booster Club. Let's just go there real quick.
Let's get to the Booster Club. Spy Guy 024. First time I've seen you here.
Spy Guy.
Welcome, brother. Hashtag Ask Cranico. Should the Minnesota Twins bring back Carlos Correa or look into a stacked shortstop market this year? Do the Twins have a good enough core to finally win a playoff game next year, fellas?
I think you got to bring back Carlos. Look, you brought him this year. I know there were some pieces you felt a little bit excited this year. You're looking at Cleveland's baseball team. You're like, man, that should be us. I think you got to stick with it. I think you got to stick with Carlos, build around him. You do have to add some more pieces, but I got a feeling that the Twins are going to be better next year, and I got a feeling the Twins will have a good chance to make the playoff. Probably the wild card, which I love this new format in the wild card as well. All right, Blaine, what's another one?
All right, let's go to a $9.99 donation. The Draco. He's got the flicky. All right, just a reminder, this is still the greatest podcast of all time, and it's not close. Keep it coming, boys. Especially you, Blaine. You are head and shoulders better than Jake.
I feel like
No, he
you
didn't
added
say
that
that.
last
You
part.
added that
I
last
feel
part.
like that last
You
part.
added
was
that
good.
last
I wouldn't
part.
do that, guy. Only scientists agree with me. So
Oh, okay, yeah.
don't
Yeah.
worry about
Jeez,
it.
can you imagine walking to the doctor and seeing Blaine with a lab coat telling he's going to look at you?
Let's see. Yeah.
No, not
I'd
really.
Have you been to my apartment?
You're one step away from Chris Hansen.
Yeah, why don't you take a seat? Let's go to Just Here for the Ankles. Said he switched over from the Daily Wire chat because there's something on there that's blocking our ankles. How dare you?
That's
Maybe start
first
maybe a
off.
little $10.99 OnlyFans to get some ankle pics.
Look, should we start
Trying
an
to get
only
rich?
ankle fan?
Whoa.
Not OnlyFans, but only ankles.
Only ankles.
Only
you showing football?
ankles.
I mean, is that things he says? He's talking about the PEDs. He says those are natural earned advantages, not cheating. It's not cheating, guys.
It's totally natural.
I
when you
lived my
inject it into
entire
your
life.
ass.
I lived my entire life thinking you could hit a ball further because you're on steroids.
You
Not-
can.
He just said you couldn't.
I'm sorry. I just have a hard time.
You're
believing
going
that.
against the science?
Yes, I am.
Can y'all
You're
bring John
I'm
back
having
on?
a hard time looking at Barry Bonds when he was in the league weighing 160
Look at the
pounds.
numbers.
And then I look at him, he looks like a WWE wrestler, and he's hitting balls that are just
all in the
disappearing
numbers.
in
It's all in
Macomb
there. He
Cove.
didn't hit the ball
hit one
farther.
from the cove to the ocean.
Little skinny Barry, in the word of Mr. Brenkus.
Here we go.
Why don't you
Don't-
back that? Why don't you
look,
back that?
I wanna see
Why
the
don't you back
numbers.
that truck up? All right.
Brink truck. I see.
Right there, dropping bars.
Wow,
All right.
Wednesday.
Said Skinny Barry can hit as far as Big Barry. The craziest thing with me, I didn't know like you could start seeing through people. Now that's an advantage. It sharpens your eyesight.
see through
Like you
people?
see in his hand, it's
X-ray
like
vision?
his scene. Change it before he even throws
I don't
the
think
pitch.
that's what he meant.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like it sharpens your eyesight.
Okay. Well, I don't like anything sharp around my eyes. Anyways, here's what we got today. Booster Club. We are going to get the leaderboard, so we're made a little decision. We've got a brand new leaderboard, brand new graphic that we're coming up with.
You found this.
We want to make sure, again, we keep trying to elevate you. You know what Beyonce said, let me upgrade you, and that's what I'm doing right now. Am I pulling a Beyonce? Yes. The second best Knowles I know. First one is Michael. He's in the other room. Here's what I got tonight.
Oh yeah, I heard about you.
Marshall versus Louisiana. Okay, I'll call them Louisiana.
Who knows?
That's not who they really are.
Who knows?
They're ULL. You want to know who Louisiana is? They're the team that let Bobby Boucher come back at halftime and lost to the Mud Dogs in the Bourbon Bowl. That's who Louisiana was. They were coached by Red Bayou, and their team was a bunch of prima donnas who I didn't like, and they treated Bobby terribly, but he got them back. 62. Here's what I got tonight. Marshall, not great offensively. Love what Coach Huff is doing over there. They run an up-tempo, fast-paced rushing attack, but don't run the triple option. So Marshall, they've got a really good back. Their run game is pretty good. They try and run a lot of plays. The defense has been really good. Stephon Gilmore's little brother's out there at corner. So I like Marshall minus 11.5 at plus 100. Now listen.
Calm down.
Lafayette.
All right.
I'm running this table once
You
again.
see him hit your Michigan helmet?
I
Did he?
hit the
Yeah.
table on
Look
accident.
at it. Is it moving? Does it look like it's moving?
Don't tell David when he has a baseball bat in his hand that I just hit
gracious.
him.
Thank you for bringing that to
Right.
mind.
I don't want an Aaron Judge-sized human being with a baseball bat looking at me actually hit the helmet.
That's how you know
Oh, Don't show
he didn't understand the science of the Michigan helmet
Here we
float,
go.
so he hits it because he's
Yeah.
a science denier.
Adam doesn't understand.
I'm
it
a
either, but he
science
loves it.
denier.
Does he?
He's a
I'm a science denier. Wow, okay. Lafayette has the 99th best ranked rushing offense. So it's not great, but don't worry, guys. They're 100th in passing offense. So I love the under. I love it. I think Marshall's going to have success running the ball. Lafayette's had this carousel at quarterback. They lost a ton of production, and their head coach last year, Billy Napier, goes to Florida. And guys, this is a rematch of the New Orleans Bowl last year, where Lafayette dropped a 20-piece in the fourth quarter against Marshall to come back. So those guys are still 13 flavors of pissed about it. So like I said, give me Marshall. We are minus 11.5, plus 100. And give me the under at 50 at minus 160. So a plus 100 bet, a minus 160 bet,
poet, didn't
little
even
revenge
know it.
game. Let's run the ball, run the clock, and have some fun,
When you
guys.
hot
I
on
hear everything you're saying about Marshall. I think they are the better football team. but the
flip
next 2 weeks,
flip it.
they got James Madison, who's ranked now, and then Coastal
It's one
Carolina.
guy.
And Coastal Carolina. It is one guy, but they're still ranked 25.
He's doing pretty good.
Maybe they look ahead a little bit. Maybe they look ahead. Still, Marshall's still giving up a lot of rushing yards and yards through the air. I'm going to take Louisiana Lafayette plus 15.5.
Ooh, let's get
okay.
alternate.
More than 2 touchdowns. Hey, just lose by 2 scores.
Okay.
Lose by 2 scores, and let's figure it out. That's minus 195. And then I'm going back to the well. I'm going back to the well with the Atlanta Braves.
Girl from the ring.
Two-legger parlay here, same game. Braves money line plus the over 6.5. That's going off at plus 185 on DraftKings. Kyle Wright, let's get back into action here. Let's get back on track. beat the Phillies.
You have to have it.
I love it. We are probably not
Penn
going to
State.
cover. All right, give me Marshall minus 13.5. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with everybody in this chat. I probably watched 3 plays of both these teams,
I've watched
ULL and Marshall. I didn't really get to watch the Marshall-Notre Dame game. Wasn't high on my list. All right, until I looked in the fourth quarter and Notre Dame just couldn't figure it out. Then I got to watch a little bit of it. Haven't watched any ULL this year. I haven't. So really, I looked into it. But the thing about this game, Marshall did lose on that comeback. So I'm going with Marshall minus 13.5. Why not? Feels like a 2-touchdown game, Dave. Right? What's your spread? What'd you get him at?
Me,
15.5. Beautiful.
Hey, you want to shake hands on it?
Yeah,
That was good.
Guys, I got him at minus 11.5. Can I be the best?
Let's all hit.
Can I make
Hey,
it?
bring one right there.
Get in
Bring one
here.
right there.
Hey,
We can all hit.
Captain
Yeah.
Memphis.
All right, hey, and then I'm going Braves money line.
Yeah?
It's time. All right.
Okay.
All right, Kyle, who's always right, on the
I don't
mound.
like this.
All right, Kyle Schwarber, I'll never forgive you. You don't deserve to win this series after what you did to me in the home run derby. All
He
right.
just won't let it go.
He
I
won't
will
let it
not
go.
let it go.
He won't
He's
let
a
it
1
go.
seed. I wouldn't
If
let
you
it go
weren't
either.
the 1 seed, Kyle, I get it. It happens.
We have to remember you were having the most incredible betting month ever.
You were.
And you hit this.
freaking out.
You hit every leg of this parlay until Kyle Schwarber let you down.
Now,
Hold on.
yeah, play
You know
the
what?
sound.
I have
It's
something
just-
for that. Hold on.
Yeah. play.
It's just, I just don't get it.
You are out of here.
Get out. Get out. I'm sick of it. I'm just so sick of it.
Yeah.
Hey, I need y'all to win this game, Braves. What's going on?
Yeah, they'll figure it out. So a Baby Cone wants
Ace.
the ULL. I'm calling him that. I don't care. I'm calling him that. Y'all can sue me. Write me a letter.
What is it?
I'm calling him ULL. I'm not calling him
gotcha.
UL. That's not who you.
What? They changed their name?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I don't care.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Let me tell you a story about a time I didn't care. So give me ULL and Marshall, or excuse me, Baby Cone, ULL and Marshall first quarter under 10, like this bet at minus 120. Then he's going Dodgers money line plus to under 6.5 at plus 240. Who are the Dodgers throwing tonight?
Dodgers are throwing Kershaw to the
Oh,
It's Clayton.
It's Clayton time.
Yeah, it's Clayton.
Is that better?
The NPC.
So you're not going to call them ULL. Like, I think
Yes.
it's incredibly disrespectful to not call a team by what they want to be called, and I would never do something like that.
You would never. So what do you call Cleveland?
Huh?
What's Cleveland baseball team? What are
I'm not
they?
going to get into it.
Yeah, okay. How about Washington, the football team?
I was talking about Ohio.
The Gardens of the
Yeah, you don't know. I see what you're saying because you don't say Ohio State. All right, I love it. Speaking about loving stuff.
Oh, so you looked at me and said, I love you too, man.
Wow.
Okay, hey.
That's brotherly.
All right, who has a better beard? This got brought up earlier.
You were Shapiro?
Blaine? No, I'm not.
Not
Mr.
Shapiro?
has a better beard, for sure. Or Mr. Walsh, sweet baby.
Oh.
I mean, they're probably gonna go. I mean, Walsh is basically identified by his beard.
Yeah.
I mean, his body is really his beard. Everything else is just, part of it. I'm gonna say they said Walsh.
Yeah.
61%.
Look, I agree with everything that he just said, but I'm willing to take a loss right now because I want to get on
appreciate
Team
this,
Blaine. Blaine has a
appreciate
better
this.
mustache.
I appreciate
is what
it.
they said.
I appreciate it. Jake, well done. All right, who has a better beard? Matt Walsh, 61%.
Wow, right on it.
Booster Club.
But you got great.
We've been
ankles,
through a
though.
lot.
We've been through a lot.
Every day we go through stuff together. Just us. That they'll never know about unless they go back and read the chat.
Oh, see, this is what scares me about going back and reading the chat. God knows what's coming.
I respect the honesty. Am I a little hurt? For sure. I am. Will I get over it? Probably never. Probably never, but I'll never forgive you. I'll never forgive you guys. Yeah, but hey, great job, Matt Walsh, 61%. It's getting better, though. I think I'm growing in a little bit more.
Come here.
No, I don't need it. I don't need it.
Come on.
I don't need it.
Right here. Right here. It's okay.
They said they love me.
It's all right. So look.
Hey, I was on the Yankees hype up video, guys.
Yeah, show some
Come on.
respect.
With no
Show some
beard, though.
respect.
With no
no
beard.
beard.
That's upsetting.
That was pre-bearded Blaine.
That was.
We got football on a Wednesday.
I know, and then in November we start Maction too, but I don't. It's so hard to bet these games. Like it really
I
is hard
love-
to bet
these
the
are my
Maction, but they're fun.
These are my
Take that over.
Let me
Not in
ask
this
y'all
one,
this.
but
Let me
in
ask you this.
action.
I don't know how much time we have left, but what do y'all like it more, betting college or NFL?
College.
College. I have
I'm
no
killing
idea
the
what's going on in the NFL.
I've been doing great in both. I'm like
Even though I did
55
better,
and 34.
I was 4-2 last week. I hit my first 4 in the NFL
saw
last
that.
week.
I saw
4-0. The last 2 missed.
It's just like I went 5-1 in college, and I know, I know I'm about to when I go to NFL, I'm like, please 3-3.
Oh, dude, a lot of times
Please,
it's like,
3-3.
yes, please 3-3. in the NFL.
Somehow 3-3, but I'm end up going 2-4.
Yeah,
It's disgusting.
dude, I am fit. I'm having the best start to me betting football. And I'm talking about just football. I mean, I'm 55 and 34 and 1 against the spread. I'll take it, boys. I'll
That's
take it.
impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, we appreciate you guys. Make sure you're following us on all social media. Like and subscribe to the channel. It's very easy. Turn on that bell for notifications. Shout out to the Booster Club, the greatest grassroots movement since Miracle-Gro, and those people figured it out pretty quickly.
Flexi.
Make sure you check us tomorrow. We got Danny Cannell coming on the show. Thanks to Tom Luginbill. Thanks to John Brenkus. Got a heck of a week and a heck of a weekend in store. College football and the NFL. We'll catch you tomorrow, 7:30 to 9 Eastern. And like the chances of steroids not helping you hit the ball further, we're going, gone.